Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rāma Hare Rāma 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 Hare 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 Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Mr. Pad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtotar to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtotar to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 30th day of September 2025 in San Diego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, text number 29, at the top of page 410. Samo aham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho asti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Chad. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Joe. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. The C sounds like CH. Cha, cha, cha. Okay. Eddie or Ferdy? Whoever wants to go first. Go ahead, Ferdy. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. You want to try it? You don't have to. You can do it. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu Okay. I'm going to send you, if you send me a reminder, email or text, my recording of Bhagavad Gita, just the verses and the translation, first translation, so you can go over before we have class. You can. Okay. Go ahead, Mahima. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Anyone online?
Samoham sarvabhuteshu
Samoham sarvabhuteshu
name dveshosti na priya
name dveshosti na priyaha
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya
ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya
maite teshu chapyaham.
maite teshu chapyaham. Thank you, Vanessa. What time is it? What time is it there?
7. It's the same, I think,
We
right
have
now.
the same, even though there's in Tucson, it's the same.
Sometimes it's an hour difference, but
Yeah, we'll come. Yeah, when we go off the daylight savings, it'll probably be different. Okay, word by word. Samaha, equally disposed. Aham, I, sarvabhuteshu, to all living entities. Na, no one. Me, to me. Dveshyaha, hateful. Asti is, na, nor. Priyaha, dear. Yea, those who bhajanti render transcendental service to, but, mam, unto me. Bhaktya, in devotion. Mahi are in me, te, such persons, teshu, in them, cha, also, api, certainly, aham, I. Translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Purport. One may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone, and no one is his special friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination, it is natural. Any man in this material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and so he provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless of whether it falls on rock or land or water. But for his devotees, he gives specific attention. Such specific, probably we use that word specific to mean special, always. So you can read it as special. In fact, I'll read it as special here. He gives special attention. Such devotees are mentioned here. They are always in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they are always transcendently situated in Krishna. The very phrase, Krishna consciousness, suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists, situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, Mahite, they are in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This also explains the words, Ye yatam ampapadyante tang sataiva bhajamyaham. Whoever surrenders unto me, proportionately I take care of him. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotee are conscious. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. The gold is glorified, and at the same time, the diamond is glorified. The Lord and the living entity eternally glitter, and when a living entity becomes inclined to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. The Lord is a diamond, and so this combination is very nice. Living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes the devotee of his devotees. If a reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, then there is no personalist philosophy. In the impersonal philosophy, there's no reciprocation between the Supreme and the living entity, but in the personalist philosophy, there is. The example is often given that the Lord is like a desire tree, and whatever one wants from the desire tree, the Lord supplies. But here the explanation is more complete. The Lord is here stated to be partial to the devotees. This is the manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. The Lord's reciprocation should not be considered to be under the law of karma. It belongs to the transcendental situation in which the Lord and his devotees function. Devotional service to the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of the spiritual world, where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. You're going to have to forgive me now. Suddenly I'm feeling winter come on. She's properly dressed. Look at that. Taking precaution against the winter, even though it's just beginning of fall. Hit the door? The door is open? Yeah, close the door. Then it'll get warm enough, I'll take it off. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Okay. All right. So this is a very nice verse, and actually it pairs, as Prabhupada points out in his purport, with that verse we've already studied. Ye yatam ampapadyante tam tataiva bhajamyaham. Oh, I didn't do that, did I? Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance to him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So Prabhupada quotes the first line of this verse. I forget exactly what chapter it's from. Ye yatam ampapadyante tam tataiva bhajamyaham. As they surrender unto me, I reciprocate with them. And he actually uses the word bhajami which means worship. They worship me and I worship them. And you can see it right here with Arjuna. Arjuna is his dear friend, life after life. And so Krishna has become the servant of his servant. He's taken a humble position. The chariot driver is the servant of the chariot master. So, and this is what's wonderful about bhakti, is that it's personalist. And Krishna is the supreme person. It means that he possesses that quality of reciprocating. Just like if someone, comes up to you and says, I really like your classes so much. I've been listening to them online. I'm from Idaho. I've had people come to me like that. And so naturally I feel, oh, really? Thank you very much. Did you have my poems? Something like that. There's a reciprocation. It's just natural, isn't it? Prabhupada points out, if there's, if a father naturally has more affection for his own child than all the other children. So he may be, overseeing a baseball game between the kids, something like that. And if there's an accident, some kid falls down, naturally he's going to be solicitous, try to help him and say, are you okay? And everything. But if his own kid falls down, he's going to be even more concerned, right? And it's natural. You don't blame the father, hey, why don't you be even-minded? No, because it's natural. So Krishna is the father of all of us. That's an important understanding. In the 14th chapter at the beginning, he'll say that explicitly. Sarva yonishu konteya murteyak sambhavanteya tasam brahma mahadoni aham bija pradakvata. I am the seed-giving father for all living entities. Sarva yonishu means those who are generated from the material energy. So then one may ask, well, why do we find certain people suffering in this world and certain people getting along nicely, And it's our own fault. That's karma. That's karma. Krishna is also supremely just. He is set up, he doesn't personally do that, but he has his representative, Yamaraj, who is, can you? Okay, he's all right. Okay. So he does everything by his energies and his representatives. This is why Prabhupada said he has nothing to do, meaning he doesn't have to do anything. Because it's just like some, powerful, these guys, the billionaires and multi-billionaires, So they're just counting the money. They have everyone, delegated to do this, run this factory and everything like that. So Krishna is the master of that. I mean, he's supreme. So the creation has to be there because there needs to be a place. It's like a reformatory. We are the wandering souls who rebelled against Krishna. We're in exile and we're kind of in prison. That's what Durga means. Durga means a prison or a fort, Prabhupada calls it. We can't get out on our own. Krishna says that's the 7th chapter, the famous verse, Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. This material world is mine. He says it's mine, and it's divine because it's related to me in one sense. But it's duratya means very difficult to cross over, and in fact impossible on our own. If we want to try to end birth and death and attain samadhi, and attain even Brahma, we can't do it on our own. We need instruction, we need training, we need practice, and all these different. So then he says the rest of that verse, Māmevi epapadyante mayame taṅtarantite. But those who surrender unto me easily cross beyond it. Why? Because surrendering means you become dear. You're always dear to Krishna, but he's reciprocating to us in exactly according to how we're directing our attention and our service and our love toward him. So that's what he's saying here, that he's basically equally disposed toward every living entity. But according to how they're disposed toward him, he reciprocates, he reacts, which is perfectly fine and just. And it gets to the point. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Now it's important to remember that it's this devotion that counts. It's not exactly what we do for Krishna. It's the mood in which we do it. Just like that famous verse in this chapter, I think it's 26. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktu paritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. That this is the famous verse about prasadam. So he gives the 4 categories. Patram, leaf, a flower, of course you don't want to eat the flower, but he'll offer the flower. Patram, pushpam, palam, toyam, and fruit, and water, milk. We know the categories. Vegetarian, lacto-vegetarian. So there's no violence there. In other words, the cows giving the milk, and everything. So not just one who offers me that, but one who offers me with bhakti, with love, with devotion. The preparation, the offering, and the partaking should all be done with affection for Krishna, actually. That's really Krishna consciousness. So he's reciprocating there. And he says he eats it. But how does he eat it? The offering is still there, otherwise what would we eat if he actually eats it? It's already there, right? Huh? Yeah, by seeing. By seeing, he can tell the bhakti by which it was prepared and offered. That's what he tastes. But there's a wonderful story that he actually eats it sometimes. Occasionally he'll actually eat it and it disappears. I won't get into that right now. But here he's saying that he partakes of it. So it's an exchange of love. Just like if you're the loving wife, it's cooking for not only the husband but the children. And when she sees them really enjoying it, that's her fulfillment. And they thank her, "Oh, thank you, Mom. This was so nicely prepared. Can I have seconds?" Whatever. So that's natural. So that's true for everything we do. Whatever we do in bhakti, we should try to do it with love. Just like the chanting. The chanting is like everything. I'll tell you, this verse, I don't know if you know, this is an incredible verse by Sanatana Goswami. It's all about the glories of the holy name. One verse, it's at the beginning of his book called the, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which means this is the essence of the Bhagavatam, the Amrita from the Bhagavatam. It's a wonderful book. And Prabhupada says in the Adi Leela, I can't give you chapter and verse, but in a purport it says, if one really wants to know the essence of bhakti, you should read the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And it's because of that line that my friend Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu and Jayavada Swami worked on it, decided to produce this book as the first book after the Bhagavatam was finished. We finished in '89, and that came out in the early '90s. So near the beginning, there's this thing called the Mangala Charana. These are wonderful verses at the beginning of any major work of literature, of devotional literature, that describes what the book is about, offering obeisances first, and then to the Lord and his associates, and also one's guru, and then describing what the book is about, and offering blessings to the readers. And there's one other subject matter that's covered on, but this one he's just glorifying the holy name as part of this Mangala Charana. So here's the verse. Hopefully I can remember it now. Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Murare Vidamita Nija Dharma Dhyana Pujadi Yatnam Sakadapi Padigitam Shraddhaya Heliyava Brigavadana. No, that's a different section. Katamapi Sakadatam Muktidam Pranyanam Yat Padamamamritamekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. So let me see, I'll go through this verse. This is a very sweet verse. Jayati, all glories, all glories. Jayati, Jayati, Namananda Rupam Murari. The name of Murari. Now Murari is a name for Krishna because he killed the Mura demon. That's one of his pastimes. So he's known as Murari, the enemy of Mura. So Jayati, Nama Ananda Rupam, the very form of bliss, the holy name of Krishna. Namananda Rupam. Vidamita, it causes one, is the causal verb, Vidamita Nija Dharma Dhyana Pujadi Yatnam, to give up the great efforts of one's activity, one's materialistic dharma, and worshipping the demigods and all these things. It gives all that up. You don't need it, just let me chant Hare Krishna. So that's the first line. Then he says, if someone somehow or other chants it, with great faith or even without faith, it can liberate one from birth and death, depending how you chant it. And then the last line is so nice. Padamam amritam ekam. It is my supreme and soul nectar, Padamam ekam, jivanam, my very life, bhushanam, and my only ornament. He's one of the 6 Goswamis. They walked. They had practically, whatever clothes they had, they found, little loincloths and some little, what do you call it, chadar, like that. So they were living as austerely as you can imagine. And the interesting thing is, really wonderful, that Sanatana and his brother, who were, by the way, I learned this recently, they were younger than Lord Chaitanya. They were younger than Lord Chaitanya. He was 24 when he took sannyas. Then he met them shortly after that, and they surrendered unto him. And they were the right and left hand of the governor, of the Nawab Hussain Shah. One was the finance minister, one was the prime minister. That's how, and it was a Muslim government, so they were kind of shunned by the Orthodox Brahmin community. That happens. So Lord Chaitanya came, and he knew that they're really devotees at heart, and they were great Brahmin family, very learned, And when they met him, they offered dandavats, full. And Rupa Goswami, he may have composed it on the spot, and this famous verse, we used to sing it in Kirtan outside in Harinam. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tujay Namaha. Very important verse. It said, I offer my obeisance unto the supremely munificent avatar. Now, just a word. If you're reading Prabhupada's books, you'll find that he likes the word magnanimous more than munificent, and he often uses that word magnanimous in place of munificent. And there's a difference. Magnanimous means you're very forgiving, you're very generous in spirit, not necessarily you're actually giving a value, but so forgiving. Munificent means supremely charitable, very, very charitable. So Lord Chaitanya is Maha Vadanyaya. Dana is a gift, and Vadanya means munificent. But he's Maha Vadanya. He's giving the greatest thing there is for free, for no money. And what is that? Krishna Prema, which is the next line. Krishna Prema Padayate. But he himself is Krishna. Krishnaya. Krishnaya is the vocative form unto that Lord Chaitanya who is Krishna himself. Krishnaya. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane. And he's named Krishna Chaitanya. That's his official name. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tujay Namaha. And he has this golden complexion, and I offer my obeisance to him, Namaha at the end. Very nice verse. So, he's giving that prema. Now the prema is this exchange of love. It's not just, this is the thing about bhakti. You look it up in the dictionary, which I did. It's a Sanskrit dictionary. And it's an exchange of affection. It's not just one-sided. Bhakti means you love Krishna and he loves you. You can experience that if you actually, and that's really, you're floating along in this ecstasy, even in this world, if you actually experience that from moment to moment. And we saw that with Srila Prabhupada. Through the greatest difficulties and all these things, he was still equipoised, and he had this calmness and this bliss about him. And this was very important in those who are acharyas, because they can, it's so attractive. We say, well, how can I get some of that? Because sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down in the material world. But here's a way he's living in the same material world, but he's equipoised and blissful and happy and enthusiastic. So anyway, Krishna, and it's all coming from Krishna. The fact that if someone is Krishna conscious at every moment, then think of Prahlad, how he couldn't be shaken. I mean, it's just, you don't even want to think of what his father was trying to do to him. Crush him under, there's a little boy, a little fragile little boy, and he's worshiping the father's arch enemy, and that was too much for the father. Finally, I said, "Okay, you're beyond. You're what is it? These words aren't coming like they used to. Incorrigible, incorrigible. Did your teacher ever tell you you're incorrigible? Stand in the corner." So it means you can't be corrected, and Prahlad couldn't be. He couldn't be deviated from bhakti. So his father said, "Oh, okay," gave him to the henchman, kill him, execute him. It's just, oh God, his father saying it. But he was undeterred. He was completely calm, meditating, fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna, and Krishna protected him at every turn. He couldn't be crushed under the elephant's hoof. He couldn't be boiled in oil, hurt he wasn't even feeling any pain. They threw him off a cliff. Krishna, so there's a painting. Krishna's got his hands. He's building it. So this is, we have to have faith that this is actually real, history. And that we can also begin to feel that protection and become under it if we become as one-pointed and fully Krishna conscious as Prahlad. So we have to try. And even if we don't make it this life, we'll go on the next life. So any discussion on this verse and purport? This is why this is such an important chapter. And so many important verses in this chapter, encouraging verses. And then the next two, here's, this is for us. Apichet suraracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavyak samyag bhavasito hisaha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, a sin, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Purport. The word suduracharaha used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional, and the other is constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditional life, and such activities are called conditional. Besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or the devotional service of the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position, and they are technically called devotional service. Now, in the conditional or the conditioned state, sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another. But then again, sometimes these activities become opposed to one another. As far as possible, the devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically. But such a temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord, being situated within his heart, purifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path, for, as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall downs will be stopped in due course as soon as a devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person who is situated in Krishna consciousness and is engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, should be considered to be in the transcendental position, even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The words sadhur eva, he is saintly, are very emphatic. They are a warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly even if he has accidentally fallen down. And the word mantavyaha is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. In the Nrsimha Purana, the following statement is given: Bhagavad Gita vananacheta visham malinopi virajate manushyaha nahi shashakalusha chabi kadachit timada prabhava vatam apaiti chandraha. The meaning is that even if only fully engaged, that even if one fully engaged in devotional service of the Lord is sometimes found engaged in abominable activities, these activities should be considered to be like the spots that resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotional service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall-downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall-downs, as previously explained. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. So, this is, unfortunately, by becoming high, this is one of the actual fall-downs, so don't take advantage of that either. This verse is very famous, and it pairs with the next verse. You'll see why. And as you probably noticed in the purport and at the end, he emphasizes accidental. Accidental. If you continually do it, in other words, a fall down means that you deviate from the strict rules of devotional service, and I've seen devotees, they feel horrible about it. If you feel horrible about it, that's good. If you think that it's I'm still in Mangalartik, I'm doing all right. Nobody knows. Hare Kṛṣṇa. No, you have to. The best thing is to have somebody you can confide in and say, this happens to me. He said, all right, look, you strictly do this. I remember I was in Miami, and one devotee had performed a physical offense against another devotee. I don't know, he hurt him, or shook him up, or somehow or other, and he felt terrible about it. He consulted with the leader, who at that time was Vidyananda Das Goswami in the Miami temple, and he was advised, and I think it's in the CC like that you should just chant Hare Kṛṣṇa. And I could see him; he was chanting like 32, so maybe even more rounds every day. Whenever we saw him after that, the next week or so, he'd be chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And that's a good way to get over it, and of course, it's necessary if that happens that you apologize and you ask for forgiveness from the other devotee, which he got. But he still felt so bad about it that he was advised to increase his chanting, and do that. And he was able to get through that and continue as devotion. So the danger is that if you habitually, and most hazardous thing is actually the offenses. It's one thing to privately break the four regs, which happens, but there's another to habitually, deal with devotees in a non-devotional way. That is almost always fatal in the sense that you don't see them anymore. They may come back years later, which happens, but so it's a struggle. Prabhupada, as he says, I think we said it, that you may have seen this, heard it, that taking up Krishna consciousness is kind of declaring war against Maya. Maya, who has been our arch enemy for hundreds and thousands of births, and she's got us under her control. Suddenly, we don't want to be under her control anymore. We declare we're going to be under Krishna's control, who is represented by the spiritual master and so forth. So it's a struggle because we're so habituated. That's what condition means. It means that you're habituated to act in a certain way, and in this context, it means you forget Krishna and you act just in relation to the material energy. Then you're in the bonds of material energy, and because especially this age, there's so many horrible things going on, you can easily perform extreme sinful activities and lose the human form of life. So that's the greatest danger. That's Mahato Bayat. Mahato Bayat. But on the positive side, Krishna is so reciprocating our service. The first word again? With Swalpam up yesterday? Neha Bikramana. Somehow I always forget that word, and she always remembers it. I forget the number of the verse, but it's in the second canto. Neha Bikramana Shosti Pratyavayo Navidyate Swalpam up Yasadharma Satrahate Mahato Bayat. Very encouraging verse, right near the beginning, second chapter, So what does it mean? Na iha abhikrama means in this activity of devotional service, there's no loss, there's no nasha. Nasha is destruction. And there's no diminution. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Just look at something, there's, all right, you invest in this, you invest in that, and it goes up. All right, I'm getting rich, but then it could be a crash and there's a big diminution, and so you put all your money and your hopes and you can't, this is the material world. But in the spiritual world, whatever you do, even a very little bit, su alpa means very little. You attended one Mangal Artik or even the evening Artik, you chanted Hare Kṛṣṇa 3 times, and then you said, these guys are crazy, and you walked out the door, and that's all you did your whole life. You got credit. You got credit for that. There's Krishna, you saw that, and you chanted, So you still may have to go through a lot, but that's in your bank account. Next life you'll come and you'll stay a little longer in the kirtan. That's what it means. But where do you find that materially? No. In fact, there's always 100% diminution. In other words, whatever you gain in this life, you become a multi-millionaire or a billionaire. I got it made. What's going to happen when you die? You're going to lose everything. You lose the billions. You lose your body. You lose everything. And because of what you had to do to become a billionaire, you probably lose human form of life too. So, but for devotees, it's whatever you are able to do, it's in your eternal bank account, which is very encouraging, you see. And that's what this is all about. This is, even if one commits the most abominable action. Now, if it's an accident, you have to be very regretful, that happened. If you try to think, well, okay, I did that, and now I'm still chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, that's cool, I'll keep doing it. It doesn't work that way. Because Krishna sees you're not serious, and you're not. That'll mean that you get less taste from chanting. You see, it's that taste, it's that relishment of the process of devotional service that keeps you coming back and appreciative, and also which diminishes progressively your taste for material things. This is real vairagya. We're meant to follow raganuga. In other words, we want raga, but we want raga for Krishna. We don't raga. Otherwise, raga for material things is what attachment is what keeps us coming back into this in birth, old age, disease, and death. So a little experience of the nectar of Krishna consciousness. It may be an ecstatic kirtan. It may be something you read. Whatever you do, and that's in your bank. It's in your subconscious. It's in your subtle body. And that will bring you back into a human form, to be able to start in the next life. But we don't want to plan that, We want to go back to Godhead. So that's what shows sincerity. Okay, I allowed myself. I was associating with this old friend. I got, we met and we did something nonsense. No more. I'm not going to do that, because that means I can't relish chanting as much. You feel it. I always tell this story. Those who've been attending this class, you've heard it before several times. When I was in LA, I was working with a devotee on the Back to Godhead magazine. He was the manager, the chief manager. I was one of the editors. And I would see him every May in Mangal Artik, everything. So one day, I came in, and Rukmini Dwarkadish, it's so beautiful, and you can get right up to the, this fountain has prevents that, If you're really into it, you can get up on that fountain mandap and you can see the deeds. So, but you could, in LA, and I always relished being there, and I saw him, he was right in front of me, but he couldn't look at the deities. He would look left, he would look right. I said, oh boy, he must have done something. He can't look at Krishna, serious. So he had this serious problem in his devotional life. So that's a result of some serious deviation, out of bounds. And then you carry that with you, you're regretful, And if you're sincere, you pray for forgiveness and you ask Krishna to, keep you at his lotus feet and, like that. But I don't know, maybe he couldn't do that, whatever. And after some time, we didn't see him anymore. So sometimes it's said that bhakti is a razor's edge. It's a razor's edge. If you deviate this way, that way, you can get cut. You can be damaged in your passage. So therefore, it's important to study, to know what's expected, and just reading Prabhupada's purports and reading the Bhagavad Gita, you're getting purified. You're strengthening your intelligence, and you're building your determination to do the right thing. Well, now I know what I can do this. I chanted 8 rounds yesterday. I can chant 8.5 rounds today. And let me progress. I get to be 16, and I'll become a regular devotee, So it's a struggle. It is, and that's why the ashram is so nice, to have a place where you can be with other. Association is essential, and that's one of the benefits of these classes. You can come in, and we can associate with Prabhupada, who is wonderful. Okay, so we have to read the next verse because they go together, very much together. Chipram bhavati dharmatma shasvat chantim nigacchati kaunteya padijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. That's one of the most encouraging lines in the whole Gita. So you can learn that line. He, the devotee who deviated, committed some abominable action, quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti. Declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So we're going to find out why Krishna wants Arjuna to declare it boldly. Okay, I think I brought this. Yeah, I'm running low on batteries, so I'm going to plug this thing in. Hare Krishna. Okay, purport. Purport. This should not be misunderstood. In the 7th chapter, the Lord says that one who is engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. One who is not a devotee of the Lord has no good qualifications whatsoever. The question remains then, how can a person engaged in abominable activities, either by accident or by intention, be a pure devotee? The question may justly be raised. The miscreants, as stated in the 7th chapter, who never come to the devotional service of the Lord, have no good qualifications, as is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Generally, a devotee who is engaged in the 9 kinds of devotional service activities is engaged in the process of cleansing all material contamination from the heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all sinful contaminations are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Supreme Lord makes him pure by nature. That's a good one to remember. According to the Vedas, there is a certain regulation that if one falls down from his exalted position, ritualistic process... okay, I think... Yeah, I think there's a problem in this book. If one falls down from his exalted position, what does it say then? All right, he has to undergo a ritualistic process to purify himself. Yeah, that's missing in this version. You too? Yeah, I think we fixed it on this the recent printing. But here there is no such condition, because the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare should be continued without stoppage. This will protect the devotee from all accidental falldowns. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contaminations. Okay. Now, of course, the question arises, why does he say, Kaunteya pratijanahi? Why you proclaim it? Why doesn't Krishna proclaim it? Because sometimes he breaks his promises. An example is, he promised not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. But then when his Arjuna was in danger, that Bhishma was going to kill him, and actually he was killing him, Krishna picked up the wheel of the chariot and it became his chakra, and he started running toward Bhishma Dev. And Bhishma Dev was reciprocating and shooting at Krishna. And it says that even some of the arrows were piercing him a little bit. But he felt that as the bites of a lover. Anyway, it's pretty advanced. And but Krishna, you know, he even advises others to lie sometimes. Yudhishthira, who's the son of Dharma, would never tell a lie, and he was proud of it. So what happened was that Dronacharya, who was the commander one of the commanders on the other side and the teacher of Arjuna's, you know, in martial arts, his son was named Ashvatthama. Now he was a nasty piece of work. He killed what was it, 7 sons of Draupadi? Five sons. Now I always wonder, were they on the battlefield? I mean, how did that happen? You know, they were back home.
They were in the camp sleeping.
There was a camp off the battlefield. Yeah, okay. So that's vicious, horrible, right? Killing babies, killing boys, in their sleep, And then also he tried to kill Parikshit in the womb of Uttara, and Parikshit was the last of the Kuru dynasty. And so, and the Pandavas and everything, they were too old to have more children. So he threw this Brahmastra weapon, which is like a nuclear weapon, but you can personalize it, so it only attacks him. Anyway, Uttara runs toward Krishna about Pahi Mahayogam Deva Deva Jagapate. Says this Brahmastra is coming to kill my child in the womb. So Krishna said, okay, I'll save him. So he enters into the womb and he protects Krishna, Parikshit in the womb like that. So Parikshit means he's always looking for that person who he saw in the womb, right? That's why he's called Parikshit. So anyway, here's this Ashvatthama, the son of Jonah. So Dronacharya couldn't be killed unless he became dispirited by hearing about the death of his son. So Krishna knew that everyone knew that he sometimes tells a lie. So he told Yudhishthira, who never told a lie and wouldn't tell any lies, you declare it. You declare it that Ashvatthama is dead. And Dronacharya becomes so depressed that we can easily kill him. That's the idea. But Yudhishthira says, no, I never tell a lie. I can't tell a lie. He's the son of Dharma, So he refused, even though Krishna ordered him to. And because of that, he had to see hell. He didn't go to hell, but he had to see it and experience it. So it was a bad thing to do. So then Krishna thought, okay, no one's going to believe me if I say it. So what he told Yudhishthira, you just say, and it was a fact. There was also an elephant named Ashvatthama. So you said, and he had been killed in the battle. The elephants, they're big targets. So they get killed. So you just tell him Ashvatthama the elephant is dead. You say that. Okay, that's the truth. So he say that, and as soon as he got to the elephant part, was it Krishna blew the conch? He blew the conch, covering that, so Dronacharya couldn't hear that part. So he thought, oh, my son is dead, and they were able to kill him. That was Krishna's. So Krishna is tricky. He's not bound. He can tell a lie or arrange for others to tell a lie, So therefore he said, Kunti, you say it. You promise it. That's why Kunti is the name for Arjuna, son of Kunti. But the Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Prabhupada explains that in other contexts. That my devotee is never destroyed, is never perishes, he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. Now, if someone does something abominable and it's an accidental, it's out of way out of character, and it only happens one time, then of course you're very sorry you did it. You pray for forgiveness, and then Krishna will say, he promises, through Arjuna, he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. And I saw that with this devotee who had heavily offended this other devotee, I think, properly, and he was chanting. And then he continued in his service, and he became, actually he was a Sanskrit scholar. So this is proved. But the point is, we want to try to avoid that. We want to try to strictly follow and not perform these abominable activities, because it's very traumatic to your whole consciousness, and you're on thin ice in your devotional service, and you don't want to be like that. Okay, so we have a few minutes, and I didn't leave time for questions. Any comments or questions? I was asking. Okay. So how about a nice poem? Any requests? Any favorites?
Sudrachara.
Oh, we have a question.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, what text 31? Ami, what text?
30.
30, okay.
Yeah.
Can you shoot? Because I'm still maybe a little poem.
Sudrachara, one committing the most abominable actions.
Yes.
Is it
Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly.
Is it related to any caste system, like the Sudra or the lower caste people perform that kind of activity, or any activity which is?
I always took this as just abominable action in the context of devotional service. In other words, yeah, it's you're seriously breaking the regular principles, or some serious offense against another devotee. It's something that suddenly, you feel, oh my God, I just ruined my devotional service. But you shouldn't think like that. If you continue the devotional service, even though you may be, feeling very bad and your mind is disturbed, then if you're determined to do that, then you can be, you can still consider it saintly, and you can come back to the standard. And we've seen that in the history of ISKCON. There's some that the devotees, sannyasis fell down, and Prabhupada famously, sometimes his family comes. I haven't seen him lately, but they were all related to Madhudvish Swami, who was very famous. And he was a Swami who was head of the New York Temple, which is a hazardous position. The previous Swami was head of it. He also fell down. Anyway, so he then fell down, but he got married, and he had his whole family. And then Prabhupada, he asked for him in 1977 in Vrindavan. And he went to visit Prabhupada, and Prabhupada welcomed him back, and he, rubbed his head and everything. It was a very moving scene. And after that, he continued, leading kirtan. He had a whole family. He had been a sannyasi, but he huh? Yes. Yeah. I don't know if they were just visiting, because I haven't seen him lately. But yeah. All right, we got 4 minutes. What can I do in 4 minutes? Fallen redemption of the soul. Okay, just going to send this out. I'll become viral. Okay, where Krishna lives, felicity abounds. With pure simplicity and loving sensibility, all serve him with humility. But when a living entity rejects his true identity, and out of sheer stupidity surrenders to cupidity, he loses all sagacity, and with it all capacity to understand reality or curb his sensuality. Abandoning humility, he touts his own ability, forgetting his fragility or fortune's volatility. Immersed in asininity for what seems an infinity of lives devoid of piety, he suffers in anxiety till contact with God's devotee, perhaps of utmost brevity, awakens his affinity for words of the divinity. Perceiving the futility of all his imbecility, the soul regains his sanity and casts away his vanity. Endowed with new humility, he serves with all ability and growing spontaneity his guru and the deity. Regaining his identity, the wayward living entity returns to the fraternity of Krishna for eternity. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.